to this computer and let me share my screen. And here we go. So we all can see my screen right now. So as you can see here, the title of this chapter is simply basically about two things, the sed and the awk commands. And we are going to dedicate, I would say, more than half of the class of today, or a meeting of today, for the sed part, and then we're going to talk about the awk part after that. So what they are, why are they so important? How do we utilize them? How do we use them? What type of applications we can use them for? And we're going to go through it again. If you think about it, just two commands, but the possibilities of different options, different commands that can come with it, it's really, really endless. And we will see all these how these two powerful tools could be actually utilized. Now, before I jump into it, you just need to know at this point that both of those commands are simply to process text files. We already learned about how do we process text files. We covered the Nano text editor, and we talked about the Vim text editor. We saw that Nano is very simple compared to the Vim text editor, and we saw that we have many different modes with it with the Vim text editor. Both of these text editors that we covered so far are considered interactive types of text editors. Simply means when you want to process the text, you will have access to the text. You'll be able to see the content of the text, and then after that, you can modify, change, and apply whatever you're trying to apply there. Now, the two command that we're going to talk about today is the sed and the awk. Simply, again, there are powerful tools to process text, but they're not interactive. Simply means you will not actually see the text opened, and then you move with your arrows up and down, and you modify, you change, and you apply those changes. Simply going to be the changes that you're going to apply to those files. Again, it's not going to be applied to the files directly, but it's going to be applied to the text in the files. So that will be number one. And number two, you will not view the text. Like, you will not be able to see the content of the text as you're processing it. And the result is simply going to be printed on the screen for you. And you can redirect it, of course, if that's something you are interested in. Let me just change the settings so I can see the participant and the chat box in the same window. Okay, so let's jump into the first command, which it's sed. Now, a sed is advanced non-interactive text editor, just like I said before. And the command here is, again, very simple. The syntax of it is not that complicated. And all you have to do, think about the syntax first, and then we'll get into the details. First thing you have to understand that we start with typing the word sed. Okay, so that'll be number one. And then after that, you need to have those single quotations. And here, you're going to tell me what it's supposed to do. We're going to see that later. And then after that, you tell me what is the file that you are going to apply, whatever you're going to put between those single quotations to that file. So what do I do have here? I have a file here that I created. It's called test file.txt. I simply copied one of the text files that we already had in this server. Not all of it, because I don't want the file to be very, very long, but you can see here that it's like a few lines of a file. So this is the line that we are going to simply try to apply and demonstrate the sed command using this file. So first thing you have to type is the word sed here. You follow that with the single quotations here, and you tell me what is the file that you're going to try to apply this to. So it's test file.txt. Now, in this area here, we will see what are the possibilities. What can we type here? And I'm going to go through. I'm not going to claim that I'm going to be covering every single possible case here, but I'm going to cover the most important ones. And the first one we're going to cover here is simply, how do we substitute a word inside a text with another word? Now, this is extremely important to understand, because this is one of the basic operations that we may want to apply using the sed command. So to perform this task, we have to start with the letter S. S, again, here is telling us what to do. Now, we follow that with the backslash character. And then after that, you tell me what text you want to be replaced. In this case, again, what I'm going to go with the word the or and. Let's go with and. And then after that, you tell me what is the text you want and to be replaced with. Now, again, just for the demo purpose of this, I'm going to put my word in a very, very weird format so it will be easy to witness it. So I'm going to go like this. So 3 asterisk and with uppercases, and then 3 asterisks. And then after that, you follow that with a backslash. And at this point, I can tell like I am done. Now, before I actually run the program, let me just give you some, run the command here. Let me just give you some basics of what's going to happen here using this command specifically that you see at the bottom of the screen. This command, syd command, simply going to search this text line by line, and is going to replace, in this command specifically, the first appearance for the and with the asterisk, asterisk, and uppercases and that will be it. And then here's what you need to understand. The result is going to be printed on the screen, and no change will be applied to the test file. So if I press enter, and if I go up a little bit, you can see here, this is the and that we have that we replace it with. Now, if I go all the way up a little bit more, you'll see that this is the and then here it was replaced with this and. So the command that you see here again will replace the first appearance of and with the and that I'm looking for. Now you may ask, what if I want it to be applied to every single and in that file? Well, we talked about that before when we were talking about how do we search using the vim. You can put, the character G for global. And when you perform this operation, oh, wait a minute, did I? No, actually, my bad. Let me just run it now. And here we go. You can see again, here's an and, here's an and, here's an and, here's an and, here's an and. So you can see all these and. Oh, look at this and here. Even those that actually part of the word are actually also replaced. So if I would just want to, again, summarize how this command works for replacement, you start with the S, sed, and then you put the letter S, and then you tell me what's your old text and what's your new text that you wanted to replace the old text. And then after that, you put G for global, and then you tell me what is the file that you want that to be applied to. So now as I said before, this is the basic. So if I go here, let's just give it a try with another word. So I'm going to go with S, backslash, and I'll put, for example, the, replace it with, again, I'll go with the, so I can actually see it. And then I'll go test file. And you will see here every single the that we have in the file are simply replaced with the here. So even they here, was replaced, the THE was replaced with the that we wanted to be replaced with. So that's the first case that we have here to cover. Again, is very simple, very straightforward. Again, you have to remember here that this is simply going to be applying the command to all the lines one by one, and every single line that the word, whatever the word that you're looking for that you want to be replaced, is simply going to go through it and replace it. So let's keep going. What else we can do here? We can specify which word we want to substitute, like which appearance or occurrence of the old text that we want to replace it with. So let me just go back to my original. If you look at here, we have the replaced here, and we have the replaced here, and this line number 2, line number 3. You can see it's almost replaced in every single line, which is okay. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of modification to our command. What if I put 2 here instead of G? That simply means it's going to simply, in this case, substitute the second occurrence of the word the in the text file. So let's go ahead and see the results of that. Well, actually, it did it again for all of them. Am I missing something here? Let me see. Yeah, again. I'm pretty sure I tried everything this morning and everything worked with no issues. But the 2 part that I just added here was supposed to only be applied to the second appearance of the word. unless something changed. Let's see here. This is the, do we have another there that's not changed here? Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm getting this right. So this is the, here is the other the. Let's see here. It looks like the outputs are a little bit different. Most, here it is. The word. But here, if you look at the top one, you'll see the most other parts of the word. And if you look here, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, other parts of the word. Huh. Let me see here. Other parts of the word. Let's see, where's other parts of the word here? Most, oh, here's, it's not applied to the line number 2. I think it's doing the opposite. This is the first appearance. This is the second appearance, and it's not applying it to the first appearance. So it's doing the opposite of what I thought it was supposed to do. I need to double check on that because, again, I'm going through the book that we're using in the PowerPoint, and that's what I got from it. Anyway, let me continue. Sorry for this this confusing that's going on here. But again, I'm pretty sure if the word to that you're going to put here simply should mean that this should be only applied to the second appearance, or maybe the opposite should not be applied to the second appearance. I need to double check on that. Anyway, let me just continue and let's keep going. So let me clear. Okay, so bottom line, let's just go ahead back to the beginning. Let me take this away. And if I just put G, you'll see that every single there will be replaced. If I take the G, you will notice that I get the same results. So you see here, I got exactly, again, the, everything. And when I put 2, that's the part where I think I was confused about, is that it will be applied to the whole text, except, again, except the part, if it's the second appearance of the word. So you can see here, this is the first appearance and this is the second appearance of the word that, and it wasn't applied there. So I need to go double check on the PowerPoint and see what the book thinks about this part and see how this is going to go. I'm going to send an email, of course, about this later to clear things up. Okay, so let's put this on the side and let's continue. Now, we also can use piping to perform those tasks. And again, it's not a big deal. It's just, again, something very similar to what we've been doing so far. So if I come here, for example, and say text or cat, test file, and pipe that output as an input to a set method, and this time I'm going to put S, again, the with asterisk, asterisk, THE, asterisk, asterisk, and again, put a G here, you will notice that I'll get the exact same results. You can see here every single that was replaced with the asterisk, asterisk. So that, again, let's get back to it, will give me a very, very similar results as if I use the text file itself as an input to the set command. I can actually cat it, and the results of the cat argument or cat, sorry, command will be used with the piping command as an input for the set command. That's totally acceptable. Now, so far, we've been doing all the process and it's applied to the file, and the results are simply, again, displayed on the screen. Now, the question is, what if I want to save the results? What if I want to save the results? Well, to save the results, we have 2 different ways to get the job done. Each one of them will give you different type of results. But let's just go ahead and cover them both. The first one that I'm going to go with is using the flag W. Now, W simply means write to a file. And then what you need to know here, that only the lines that we will change and we will update will simply be saved to a file, not the whole, uh, not the whole, the whole text. And again, the full text will be presented, sent to the standard output, simply means displayed on the screen and the terminal screen. And for the output file, it will only contain the line that were changed. So what is that supposed to mean? Let's go ahead and do that and show you how. Sed S, and again, I'm going to go with and I'm going to go, let's choose a different word. I don't want to go with those because it's just going to be big. So if I just cat test field, I will go, for example, with there, the whole there world, or I want to use the word that was repeated sometime, but not a lot. I'll go with you. There are some U's here. So if I say sed S U with lowercase, and I'll put again some dollar signs with U uppercases. Okay, and I'll put G and I'll put W, and this time I'm going to say out str dot text, and then after that test outfield test field test file, sorry, dot text. Now remember here, the results is going to be displayed on screen, and only the lines where change were applied should be sent to and stored inside the out str.text. So let's give this a try. So let's look here. You can see here a lot of the U. This one was not changed because it started with an uppercase U, but every time there is a lowercase U, it was replaced here. So you can see here, even lines that no change has been applied to are still displayed here on the screen. So that's the thing. So how many U's that we changed here? I will say 1 line and 2 lines. That's pretty much what I can see here. So let's go ahead and clear. If I list my items, you will see that we have a file called out str. And let's see what do we have here. And here we go. You can see here only the 2 lines where the change were applied to are simply stored in that file. So again, that's how the flag W simply works. Simply, again, is give you a choice where you can actually send your data or the lines where change were applied to the text files. Of course, we have a choice here. Let me just go back here. If I don't want the data to be displayed on the screen, if that's a choice that I want, again, I just want, again, if I press enter, you'll see that the data is displayed here. The file and the changes, the results of the set. But if I don't want that to happen, you can put this option here, -n, and that simply means only the changes will be sent to the file. See, nothing was displayed. And if I go back to the cat file, only the 2 lines were actually sent there. So we got the first choice here, the first option. How do I actually save the results in a text file, which is, again, very simple, very straightforward. I also have a choice, and we can use redirections. So let's show you how do we redirect the results. Again, very simple, very straightforward. I have to take the W away and take this file away as well. And let's just keep the G here and test fields. And just like how we redirect in general, and put the file, I'll go out str.text. Now what's going to happen here, it's still going to be displayed on the screen. And oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I know for sure that the output, the results of the command here will be sent to that file. Now, unlike the first method of saving the work where only the lines where the change were applied are saved, this one, no, the whole text will simply be saved. And also it will not display on the standard output. So if I go to cat outstr.text, you see here the whole file now is stored, and those 2 lines are actually there as well. Okay. So where's the mouse? Here it is. So you can see here, not only those 2 lines were actually added, are stored in the text file. Also the whole text is also stored at that text file. So you can see here, those are our two options to save the results and to save the work of the set commands. So you can again use the W flag if you want to do that, but again you have to know that without the option -n, you will see a display for the results, and only the lines where the change were applied will be saved in the file. But if you want to save the whole text, including those lines that no change were applied to, then you have to go and redirect it to that output. Again, we still going through the options and the choices that you have with the set. And as I said, it's going to be a very long one. And by the way, I do have a file that I created that summarize all these commands and all these options with a description. I'll make sure to make it available for you so you can have access to it later. We also have another flag that we actually can utilize. And this flag, it's called P. Now, what does the P will do simply? Well, here's what's going to happen. And let me just run it so you will notice it by yourself. And I'm going to take this out. I don't want to redirect it anymore. But I want you to pay attention to this P and the effect of the P. It will simply it's going to print something. But look what's going to be printing. Have you noticed? Let me just highlight that. 1 and 2. So here's how the P will affect the results of this command. Every time a change is applied to a line, that line will simply be printed again itself, and it's going to be printed again. So you can see here we have it one time here, and we have it a second time here. That's again the flag of the P. Now, if I don't want that to happen, I do have an option that I can actually use, and I will show you that. If I just go here at the beginning and put a -n, which is going to be different than the first -n that we had before. But let me show you what's going to happen if I do that. Let's see here. Well, no, that didn't change anything, did it? Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, here it is. So that simply, again, led to displaying only the lines where the change were applied. In another word, it's simply going to display this line and this line. And if you want to think about it, previously when we used the -n, we used it so no display will be shown on the screen. Okay, we said we don't want anything to be displayed on the screen. We want only the changes to be sent to the file. Remember here, let me just go back here in the history so I can show you that. I hope it's still here. Nope, it's gone. Let me clear and go backward. I just want to know, this is what I just did here. I want to go back to the first one. Here it is. So when we were saving the results to this file, we said, if we don't want anything to be displayed on the screen, we use the -n here. Here again, let's go back to our latest command. Now this -n simply will, again, it's simply going to display only those lines that were duplicated, of course, without duplicating. So it's just simply, again, the lines that we applied the change to. So you can see here, you have many different options. You can ask yourself, when would I want to do that again? If you just think about it, I just want to display the lines where the change were applied. And this is the case that you have here. Okay, so what else we should know? Now, the question that I'm going to go through right now is just to give you an idea. And let me just show you that in a second. If I go back to the file itself, let's go back to the file itself, cat test file.txt. Now, what if, and I'm just saying here, what if I want to change this \www to a \uppercase ww. So I'm going to use a different character so it's going to be clear so you can see it. So let's go back and see. That's my case. That's my situation here. So sed s \, and I will say I want to change the www with a \, for example, ### globally test text field. This is going to lead to a problem, and he's telling you, well, we have an issue here because again, backslash is your character again. This is your character that you're used to separate the old text from the new text. And when it's going to realize that this is it, so this is the end of it. Okay. Again, if I just want to go back to a previous command, you would notice this is the begin, this is the one in the middle, and this is the end. So when I put one next to each other, that's going to lead to some confusing for the S command, because again, I'm expecting to see something between them, but here, yeah, there's nothing there. So how do we fix a problem like the one that I just have above? Well, there are two solutions. The first one that I am not a big fan of is that I actually, wait a minute, let me just go back. Where is it? Here it is. The first one is simply, very easy. All I have to do is to add a forward slash here and add a forward slash here. Now, I know it looks a little bit complicated to get it that way. And let me just take it out and clear everything so I can push it to the top of the screen. And let me go backward. So all you have to do in a case like this, put it back, forward slash here, and a forward slash here, and look at the change that's going to be applied here. Remember here, the good news is that we have only one backslash www. And here it is. You can see that it was changed. So that's one way to get the job done. The other way to get the job done is simply to understand the structure of this command here. And let me show you the structure of this command. Just like how I said, this backslash is simply utilized by the set command to be able to separate those old text with the new text that need to replace the old text with. It's not necessary to stick with the backslash. It's just traditionally, that's what we do. That's what we use. But in reality, you can use any character to get the job done. And here's what I'm going to do. Take all this away, take all this away, and take all this away. Now, remember here, I'm trying to replace the backslash WW with the backslash pound, pound, pound. So here's what I can do. I can use any character that I want. Let's see if this is going to work. And let me give it an enter. And here we go. It worked perfectly fine. Let's go backward. Well, I don't like that character. Let's use another one. Oh, I forgot. I have to put the... Okay, and I put the G here. And let's give this a try again. And it worked again. So what do you need to know about this? Clear. Is that whenever you have a backslash again, and you want to actually use it in your alt text or the new text, if you have a double backslash, then you're causing confusing for the said command. And as I said, to fix that problem, we can use the forward slash because it's utilized for special characters. But again, you should know also that you really don't have to stick with that backslash character to separate those parts of the command that you have here. Again, any character will work. Let's go with a $sign, for example. It's just traditionally we've been using the backslash to fix or to get that job done. So that's, again, a little bit parts of sed and how does it work. And we covered a lot of cases here. And now we're going to go and talk about how do I put seds in a file, like sed commands in a file, and use them to apply some changes to a text file. Before I get to that part, you should know that you could combine multiple command sets to be applied to a single file. So what is that supposed to mean? For example, I can say sed, put a backslash, s backslash, for example, and backslash, let's put asterisk, asterisk, and then asterisk, asterisk again, put G. Okay, we talked about this. And I can apply that, of course, to my test field.txt file. Now, what if I want to apply multiple operations, like multiple of these commands using different words, not necessarily a single word? Well, here's what you can do. You can put a comma here, a semicolon here, and then after that, follow that with another command, S, and I'll go with the, replace the the with, let's go with $sign, the, $sign, and again, backslash G. Again, that's not the end of the world. You can continue and add more if you want to. I'll go S backslash, and I will just put, for example, R, just the word R. I want to replace it with JCCC for no reason. So you can see here, I'm going to apply all these commands, all of them, to the file. And you should know that you should use the semicolon here to separate them. And let's see how is this going to affect or produce as a final result. So let's just go to the end of this. Okay, why are you taking that long? Did I miss anything? Let's see here. Oh, okay. I think I missed something here. Let's see. It's expecting something to be added to the file. That's why it's just keep going. So yeah, said here, apply that, that, and that. This file. Control Shift. I need to interrupt this 1 sec. I think it's waiting for something, but I'm not sure. What is it? Let's see here. How do I interrupt the terminal? Close. I don't want to close the whole thing. Control C. Oh, that's not. Oh, here we go. Let me see here. Why is it acting that way? I know that we should have them separated with the semicolon. Okay. And you put the test file at the end of it, and it should work. For some reason, it's not accepting it. Anyway, let me just tell you here. There's another way to get the job done. And instead of me going through this technique, which I don't know why exactly it's not accepting the command, I have to go and double check on that. Let me just show you how we would do that in a different way. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a new file. So let's go ahead and do that. Touch, I'll call it command.sed. So remember here, this is the file that I'm creating. Again, I don't have to call it sed, but you can, it's traditionally known that you should call it, give it a name of sed. And then I'm going to go ahead and nano command sed. And here we go. Let me just go ahead and write the command that I just did before. So I'll go SW, and we said the to be replaced with, let's go asterisk, asterisk, THE, asterisk, asterisk. And then after that, backslash, let's put G here. And then after that, we'll do the second one, which when we try to change the and, we'll put $, and $, with the G, and then S backslash, we said R, and we said, let's go with JCCC, and we'll go G. And that's pretty much, I'm going to stick at this point and I'm going to stop here. Let's get it out of here. Control X. Let's save it. Now, if I cat commands, you can see those are the commands. Let's go ahead and try and see if we can apply them to our file. So here's what we do. We start with sed, and then we put hyphen, and you put F, that's our option. And then after that, you type the name of the file, command.sed, and then you tell me what's the file that you are applying this to, test file.txt. And actually, surprisingly, it worked right now. So that's a good thing. I need to go double check why I didn't take the semicolon technique. So you can see here, the was replaced with the, and was replaced with and, R replaced with JCC. And you see here, all these changes were simply being applied. Now, again, I really have to double check and see why this one didn't work. Am I missing anything? I don't want to press enter again and then have to go and cancel it. But for some reason, I'm not sure if I can see it here. It didn't work. Did I put any double quotations somewhere? No. Okay, so let's continue. So the bottom line here, you can actually put your commands, okay, the S commands, those parts that I'm gonna highlight. And you know what? There's no need for that. Let me just go ahead and cat the commands. You put them in a text file, and then you can actually feed them to the set command. But you have to remember, you have to put the -f command.txt file, and then simply, again, whatever you have in the text file is simply going to be used for the set. You have to put the -f to tell that you should read them from a file, and then tell me what file you should be applying that to. And you can see here, it worked with no issues. So this is, again, how we actually can read those lines, the command lines from a script file, and it will work simply fine. By the way, if you have any questions at any time, please, you can use the chat box here, or you can unmute yourself and feel free to ask any questions that you may have. Of course, as I said, I'm recording this, so I'll be posting it there after that. Now, in addition to what we said, and I can tell you here, basically, the set part is going to be a little bit longer than the awk part. We have something called addresses with set commands, and the addresses simply represent the line numbers. And we can actually apply those commands to specific lines. So what is that supposed to mean? I'll show you an example. Let's go back to our original commands that we've been working on. Let's go backward a little bit. I want to go to one of those that we applied. Let's take the POA and let's take the NOA. So simply every single U will be replaced with a U. Now remember here, I'm not sure which line this was applied to, but let me just go ahead and run it. So if you look here, we got line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have that change was applied to line 5 and line number 6. Look what I can do. I can come here and say, apply this to line number 5, for example, by typing 5 here. So remember here, this is line number 5. This is line number 6. Let's see how is that going to affect the results. And you can see here, the change was only applied to this line. And this line, you see the U here, no change was applied to that. So you can see here, we can decide and we can choose the changes that we would like to change by choosing the line number. And remember here, the line number is simply referred to as address. Now, of course, let's go back to our command and let's change, instead of the U, let's go with the because we know that there was actually, it was, the word has a high frequency appearance in the file. So if I go and apply the here, you'll see that it was applied almost in every single line, here, here, everywhere. Now, if I go back here and I would say, apply that to line number, let's say 2 all the way to 4. So you can see 2, 4 simply means only the lines 2, 3, and 4 will have the effect. So this is line number 2, 3, and 4. So simply means it should not affect the rest of the file. Let's go ahead and give this a try. And you can see here, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. And you see here, we have no, like all the the's that we have in the file, no change were applied to it. So that's another option that we have, another choice that you have. You can specify a single line, or you can specify multiple lines, or you can specify one certain line all the way to the end of the file by putting the $sign here. So that simply means starting from line number 2 all the way down to the last line. And I'm going to go ahead and put 7, okay, all the way to the end. So the first few lines will not have the effect. And if you see here, none of the this that you see here has that effect, starting from line number 7, which I believe should be this one. And again, wait a minute. Oh, this is uppercase TH, sorry. Only lowercase THs. So here's 1, here is 1, and of course the rest are at the bottom of the file. So this is again how we handle, and let me just show you one last option that we have. I can also, and let me just show you that, put the $sign and press enter, and that simply means only the last line, and you can see it here, the change will be applied to. So those are the addresses, and this is the meanings of these characters. And how do we specify what address, or sorry, what line number you want to apply that change to? Also, we have another choice here that we can go through. What if I want the change only to be applied for lines that contains specific pattern or specific text? Okay, so what is that supposed to mean? Let's go back to our original case here. Let me take this away. The $sign. I want this to be applied to all of them. So you can see here we have the I want to choose a word that is repeated a lot. Let's see here. I will go with R, maybe. Okay, I'll go with R. So here's what I can do. Clear. And instead of actually using line numbers to decide to specify which lines I want the change to be applied to, I can actually say that the change here should be only applied to the lines that contains the word R in it. So we do have few lines that contain the word R and the at the same time. So let's press enter and let's look here. So if you see a the, so the here you see here, it's not changed because there is an R somewhere. Let's see here. Where's the R? I don't see an R here. Let's see if there's any other the. Let's look at the words. The, for example, here is applied. The is applied here as well because there's an R here. Let's look at this. There's an R here. There should be an R here for it to not work, but I cannot see it for some reason. For use, is there a the here? Yeah, here's a the. Well, here's the easy examples just to are indicated because I can see it, a clear R here, and there's a R here as well. Let's look down here and see if there's any changes. There's the here, and there's the R here. Let's see if there's a the somewhere else. Here's a here's the R. I want to see if there's a the without an R. So here's the again, and here's the R. Sometimes really hard for me to go through these texts to be able to tell. I'm just going to try to figure this out. Is there any there that no change were applied to? Beside this one, well, there should be a lot of this. For example, here's the previous one. It's not showing you all of it, but let me just go ahead and run it without the R. I just want to make sure that I got it all. So you see here, there's a lot of those here. This one was changed. This one was changed. This one was changed. I just want to make sure that I get the R. Where's the R here? For some reason, I don't see an R in those lines. Yet it was changed. This one was not changed. Well, let me just go back to. So only the line that contain R should change. Oh yeah, of course. I'm so sorry. The whole thing flipped in my mind. Of course, this is not going to change. Where is it? The is not going to change because there's no R here. There's no R here. Only the part that the R do exist will change. That was my mistake. Again, my brain just flipped the whole thing. So let me go back here. Clear. This command again, only the line that contain R are going to change. Okay, that's the case here. So the line that contained the would not change to the uppercase that with the dollar signs if R is not included in the line. And that's, again, that makes perfect sense. But for some reason, my brain was thinking the opposite. Okay, so I hope this part is clear and we know how to handle the situation. So and again could be utilized and could be, okay, not sorry, and any pattern here you can choose. I'm going to go here to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to choose the word world. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go backward. Because I remember there's the word world, the world. So if I go enter, you will notice only this line here where there was changed because the world does exist here, but the world doesn't exist anywhere else in this text. So that's why it was not changed. Now, of course, I can apply the same concept. If I go backward, let's go back to our command file. So nano commands. If I want to apply the same concept here too, what we have here, this is what we have to do. We have to do the following: type and, okay, oh, instead of and, let's just put R and open a curly brace and go all the way to the bottom and close it. So previously we said we want those changes to be applied to the whole, to each line, line by line. We're replacing every the with the and with the and the R with the JCC. But this time, again, I can specify only lines that contain R. This should be applied to. So I can now X, save it, exit. And now if I go backward to sed F commands and then test text field, you remember here, the changes was applied mostly to all the lines, but again, only those that contain R should be applied to. So you see here, no change were applied here, here, here. Here you got the change applied, you got the change applied, you got the change applied, and so on. So that's, again, another choice we have with commands here, set commands. We are almost done, by the way. Let me just go and continue with the sed. We're not done with the whole class, we're just with the sed commands. I just want to show you that not only we can substitute text using the set commands, but we can do way more than that. So what can we do with set commands? We can delete lines. Okay, so what is that supposed to mean? Let's go ahead and give you an example. Previously, again, we will put the command here, and then we'll say, for example, test field. Let's go ahead here and see how can I delete. So to delete, first of all, you have to use the letter D. And then after that, you have to tell me which line you are trying to delete. So let's say I'm going to try to delete the third line. Oh, let's just go with the first line. Now, if I press, and I think I have a file. Yeah. Before I do that, let me just ls test file. I want to numbers, number temp, output files. Yeah, let's just go ahead and use that. So let's go ahead here and sed 3D test file. And that simply, again, will delete the third line. And now I want you to look, this is the first line, second line, and this is the third line. But let's look at the file itself and see if I cat test file. Remember here, this is restrictions and then the project. Okay, this is after deleting. If I press enter, you'll see restrictions, and this is the project. So you see this line here actually is in the file. So what I'm trying to say here is that deleting doesn't simply mean that the file that you're using as an input, that line is going to be deleted from, but the result that's going to be sent to the standard test out is simply going to delete the third line. Of course, again, I can delete the first line if I choose to. And you can see here, the first line is deleted. Now, if I go, I can go all the way to the top of it. But let's see here. I think I should be able to. Here it is. This book is for the use of, and again, if you go here, you don't see that first line anymore. So you can delete any line. Now, can I delete more than that? Yes, you can. If I go back here, I can delete the first line all the way to the 7th line. And look what's going to happen here. I'm pretty sure you will start seeing from title. So if I press enter, and here it is, title, blah, blah, blah. Now, I can delete from line number 7 or 8 all the way to the end of it. And if I press enter, you'll see that I got the first paragraph in that text file. So you see here, you have the multiple options whenever you want to delete some lines. Again, it's very simple. Just use D for deleting. You can delete the lines that contain specific word or specific words. So let's go ahead and try that. So for example, I will say delete all the lines that contain, and I'll put the word that I want it to be delete, that. So that will take a lot out of this text file. See here, we lost a lot of the text file because every single time there's a line that contains the word that line was deleted. Of course, I can have multiple lines to be deleted if I want to. I can come here and put a comma and put another word. Oops, go back. And then delete. So that simply should delete and in there. So you see here, a lot of lines were gone as well. So clear. This is how we delete. So you can see here, we can substitute text, we can delete text if we choose to. Now, of course, as I said, this is not the end of it. There's a lot more that could be applied. Now, the last part that we are going to talk about here, 2 parts actually left for the sed, and then after that, we're going to talk about the awk command. And the awk command, I don't want to talk about it right now. Let's just wait until I get to that point. We can insert and we can append and we can change lines inside a text using sed as well. So just like how we were able to substitute words, we'll see that how we can insert words and how can we add words to, and how can we change lines. A whole line could be actually changed with whatever you choose to change it with. So how can we do that? Let's start with inserting. Okay. Let's go back and show you how do we insert. Now, just like how the commands always have this, share the same structure. And in this area here, just like how we used S for substitute and we use D for deleting, we use I for substitute. So for insertion, sorry. So what we're trying to insert here, you have to tell me what you're trying to insert. I'm trying to insert, for example, JCCC. And let me just put it in a format that it will be obvious and you will be able to witness it. So you're going to insert JCCC. Now you have to tell me where you want to insert it. Well, let's give an example. For example, I want to insert it at line number 2. Okay, look what's going to happen after I press enter here. And here we go. You see, this is line number 1, and I inserted JCCC at line number 2, as you can see here. Okay, of course, it doesn't have to be line number 2. It could be any other lines. So let me go back here and show you. I can insert it at line number 1 if I choose to. If I go back, and you'll see it was inserted at the beginning. So you can insert it anywhere you want. Now, do I have to stick with numbers? No, not necessary. I can say insert it before the line that contains specific word. So I will say here, insert JCC, and I'll put and close. So what is that supposed to mean? Tell me every single line that contains the word and, insert JCCC before it. Let me show you here. If I put you, because we know that we have 2 lines that contain you, let me show you how is that going to affect it. And remember here, you have to insert it. It's going to be inserted before. Press enter, and you'll see here. Because I have you here, this JCC was inserted. And because I have you here as well, this JCC was inserted as well. So you can see the effect of it here. I can insert whatever I want to insert again at the end before the last line of the code. of the text file. So put the dollar sign, you can see this is the line, last line, and you insert a JCC before the last line. So this is how we insert. Now, the main difference between insert and append, it's simply going to be inserted after. Okay, so let me just go backward with all the commands that I typed. So you see here how I said insert before the first line. If I just replace I with A, it's going to insert it after the first line. So if I press enter, you notice that this is the first line, it was inserted after the last line. Let me go ahead and show you the same thing with the and, with the U. If I put I here as A, it will be inserted after. You see this U, or is it U? After. This U, after. Okay? So you can see here that insertion and appending simply works in the opposite way. I can, again, instead of I here, put A, and it will be inserted after. Okay? So with that being said, we can move on and talk about how do we change. Now, changing, again, as I said, simply implies changing the whole line, okay? But not, again, you have to remember, substituting simply means change the word that appear in the text file, line by line, scanning in and changing the appearance. This time, no, we're changing the whole line. So how do we do that? Again, let's go back here. I'm going to say, instead of A, I'll put C. Okay? And I think it should be backslash. Okay? Oh, sorry, backslash. Okay? And have you noticed how we're using the backslash here instead of the forward slash instead of the backslash? Let me go backward here. Clear everything. I'm going to go ahead again and do the same thing. Said. And I'll say first, for example, we said A, or append, so simply means after. And I'll just put here and then I'll say test file. Now look at that. Actually, it was printed as a part of the text. So if I have to go here, if I put a backslash, press enter, and you'll see here, it was printed after. Okay, so let's go back here and show you how do we actually replace. So instead of put change, C. Now here's what's going to happen. The first line is simply going to be replaced with JCC. So if I go back here, you see here, there's no, the first line is not there anymore. It was replaced with JCC. Of course, I can do the same thing if I want to here. Replace every single line that contains U with that file. So you'll see here, the two lines that contains the U were replaced with JCC. What else I can do? I can change the last line if I choose to, and that will work exactly the same. The last part I'm going to talk about here is that I'm not necessary only to replace it with a single line. I can have two lines, for example. If I put \n, and I'll put here, for example, Kansas, you will notice that every single U will be replaced with JCCC, Kansas. So you can see here, JCC, Kansas, JCC, Kansas. Again, those are, again, just demo. So you'll see the effect that we have here. So I know I've been saying the last part, but this is actually the last part of the sed. And after that, I'm going to be moving to the AWK, which again is not going to be as long as the sed. It's going to be a little bit shorter. I'll tell you, it's a little bit more complicated than the sed, but we're not going to go through the details a lot of it. Now, just like how we were able to replace words, we can apply that with characters. Okay, so what is that supposed to mean? Let me show you. I can type the following. Now look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use the character Y. Okay, and then you'll have two fields here. The first field, you put the list of characters that you want them to be replaced with. So if I go with E and S and R, I want every single E to be replaced with a $sign, or let's just put it with 3, and every S to be replaced with a $sign, and every single R to be replaced with, let's say, at. It's very, very important that those, if you have 3 characters here, you must have 3 characters here. So what is this command telling me? It's telling me every single E in the file will be replaced with 3. Every single S will be replaced with a $sign, and every single R will be replaced with at. So let's see the effect of that. Of course, he doesn't like it for some reason. Let's see, why is that? It should be Y, yes, it should be Y, but he doesn't like it for some reason. I'm pretty sure I tried it this morning and it worked with no problems. Unterminated Y command. Oh, maybe it's an uppercase Y. No, it should be. Huh. Did I misspell it? Let me just double check on the syntax of this. Yes, I got it right. Let me look at the PowerPoint really, really quick. Because as I said, this is the last part. And I'm pretty sure I got it right. Yep, I got it right. For some reason, he doesn't like it. Okay, this is one of the things that I have to put a question mark on it. And let me just do that right now. And I'll try to have a look at it and see why it's not acceptable. But again, I am pretty positive that this morning, while I was preparing the text file that I'm going to make it available for you guys later, it worked perfectly fine with no issues. So give me a time and I'll have a look at it and see why is it not accepting it at this time. Okay, so let's clear things up. And if you guys need a break for 5 minutes, I need to go and get me something to drink. I'll be back at 7:15 and we're going to continue with the oak command. And the oak command again, let me stop sharing. It's pretty different, but at the same time, you will see how different it is. It's also a tool that we can use to process text. So let me stop sharing and let me pause and get this chapter covered. Okay, so what will be next? We're going to talk about the oak. Now, the oak by itself, it stands for the name of the 3 people who created this application or this command. Their names are a little bit hard to remember. I had to print them down. So there's Alfred O. Aho, Peter Winberger, and Brian Keringan. So those are the 3 people who created this tool. And there's the Unix version of the Oak application. It's AWK. And there's the GNU version, which is the G-Oak. And what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be using the G-Oak, of course. It's a little bit more complicated than the SED. And the main difference between them is that with SED, if I go back previously to the SED commands, and let me go all the way back to where we were applying the replacement, or sorry, substitute. And let me take, for example, this command here. So with SED, we have the SED command and we have the file that we're going to apply the SED command to it. And then we have this part here, which we'll call the commands. And the commands in the oak or G-oak is simply going to be like a programming command. Okay, so it's going to be, again, as I said, instead of typing what we're typing here, we're going to see that we're going to be typing something else. And that something else also, again, it's like programming statements. So how is that going to make a difference? Simply, again, with Oak, we can actually apply a program that we can write to the text file. So that will actually give us like freedom of what can we do to the text file. So instead of just asking the command to replace a character with a character, replacing a line with a line, replace a word with a word, deleting a word, now actually we can write a program. We said, for this following file, I want you to perform the following program to it. So because we have that sort of freedom, then you simply can apply many like there's endless possibilities of what can you do with the Oak command. But as I said, for simplicity, we are just going to go with few of them for this chapter. Okay, so let's start with this. How the command is going to look like. Oh, by the way, let me just tell you here. One of the basic examples of where the Oak is used a lot, it's simply used to process text files that are not very friendly for us to read. So there's a lot of text files that contain a lot of text, and it's very hard for us to look at it or to process it. So the O command helps us processing those not friendly text files and produce, pay attention to this, produce a text file that is a little bit more friendly for us. One example here is that you can have access to log system files or system log files. Now, if you haven't seen a system log file, it's a text file that simply store every single detail or action or event that happens in your system and record all the details that is associated with that event. So that simply means you can have access to that file so you can see through time what happened in your system. Now that file by itself, it's not easy. It's like if you look at it, it's just a bunch of text that it's very hard for you to tell what it is. Now the AWK of the Oak give you, it's a tool that can let you reprint that log file into a format that will be a little bit more friendly for you. So how is that possible? There's an example at the end of the chapter. I highly recommend to go and have a look at it. We'll show you how can something complicated be actually simplified using Oak. So before we do anything, let's just go ahead and have a look at the command itself. So GAWK. And then after that, you open single parentheses, and then you tell me the file that you want to process to. Now, in this area here, this is where you can put your command. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go and just say print, and I'll say JCCC. And let me put those JCCCs between double quotations. Now, what does this command simply mean? It simply means for every single line in the file, test file, I want you to replace that by printing the word JCCCC. And look what's going to happen. Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss anything here? Oh, where's the syntax error coming from? Oh, of course, I forgot something. So my bad. I forgot that with J or the Oak command, you have to surround your command with curly braces. That's a very big difference here. So look what's going to happen now. The text file that I have, the original text file that I have, which is the test file, every single line of that file was replaced with JCCC. Now you may ask, what's the point of this? I'll tell you, no, there's no point of that. This is just to demonstrate that effect. Okay, so there's no reason actually for why am I doing that. Now I do have a file here that I created this morning to demonstrate the use of Oak. So let's just clear things. ls, and that file, I try to remember, what did I call it? Test numbers, not test field, not numbers. Command said, no, I don't have it here. My bad. It's okay. I'll just stick with the test field. Okay. Now, what you should know, which is very, very important about how the command simply works. The command will go to each line in your test file and is going to be treating that line and consider it something we call a data field. So the text field that you have here simply contain text fields. So what is that supposed to mean? Let me just show you that by simply cat it. So cat test fields. You see this line? Let's go back from this line. Let me highlight those lines. This line here, it's a test, it's a data field, data field, data field, data field. So every single line by itself, it's considered and treated as what we call a data field. So every single line it's a data field. Now, okay, and there are several variables that we can have access to that's related to that data field. Now, before we get into those variables, you should know also that we have something, let me just try to see if I can remember the right term for it. A field separator, okay? A field separator. A field separator, and by default, is the space. Okay, so this whole line here is a data field, and the field separator by default is the space that you see here. Okay, and every single word in a line by itself is going to be associated with a number. So 0 represent the whole line. 1 represent the first word. 2 represent the second word. 3 represent the third word, fourth word, fifth word, and so on. So with that being said, let me show you how do I demonstrate that concept for you. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to go here and say print. Look what I'm going to print. $0. That simply implies, right? Print the whole line. But what if I want to just print the first word of each line? So I would just say print 1. Now look what's going to happen here. The first word of every line will simply print it here. This, other, whatsoever, the, and then the website, to, title, and so on. You see here? Of course, that's not necessarily the only thing that I can print. I can also put a space, for example, and say print the third line as well. Okay, but look what's going to happen when I do it this way. Simply, he will print those two words next to each other. You see this? And there it is. Other, off. Whatsoever, may. The Gutenberg, sorry. Gutenberg. And so on. So if I want to have a space between them, well, there's easy. Just come here and put a space. And now if I run it, you'll see that we got some spaces between those words. Now, it's very, very important to understand this concept. Every single line is going to be called a data field. The space is going to be the space field separator. And then every single word in a line will be actually presented in $sign and a number that represents the order of that word in that line. And that's how those fields are going to be simply printed in the book. Now, is that the only case that we have here? Is that the only thing that we can do? No, of course, we can do much more than that. Look what can I do here. And I'm going to take this away. And instead of printing the first line and third line, I want to actually print the whole line. Let's just go ahead and put $0. So that simply will print the whole line. But before I do that, here's what I want to do. I want to come here and put the second word to equal. And I'm going to go here and put asterisk, 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 JCCC, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. And I think I have to put them between double quotations. And most importantly here, I have to put a semicolon separator. So what's going to happen? What this line simply means. It simply means the first word, the second word of every single line will be replaced with JCCC with those asterisks. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm recording myself. I hope I am. Yes, I am. So this again simply means the second word of every single data field will be replaced with the word that you see here. And then after that, I want you to print the whole line for me. So look what's going to happen after I run it here. So this, and this is the second word. This is the second word. This is the second word, second word, second word, second word. And even those lines that doesn't contain any words, you will see JCCC is printed there. And that's the effect of what I just showed you here. So you can actually, again, manipulate the words that you want with anything you want and then print it and show the result. And just like how I did it here, I can actually send the results to another file and redirect it if I want to. So that's one thing we can do. Let me show you more options. I can come here and look what I'm going to do. I can say, for example, let's say here. Yep, I will go here and say name variable, and I will put Adam. And then after that, I will come here and say, for example, well, how do I want to use that? I will say number 2 equal name. And then after that, print it. So this is going to have the, well, you know what? Let me just put it as and KS and. So I have a variable. Look at this. I have a variable now called name that will hold this value, and I'm assigning that variable name to the second word and printing it. This is going to give me something very similar to what we have here, except that it's going to be KS instead of Johnson County Community College. Okay, so let's clear this. So that's one thing we can do. But again, have you noticed something here? Let me just go back here. I'm not using the $ with those variables. You see here? Let me just go and show you. I didn't put $ here. Very, very important. That's a big difference when we used to use variables before. Now here, we don't have to use the $. So that's an option that we have with the oak command. Let's keep going. And this time I'm going to use a different file that I created this morning. So I can, so if I cat, no, not this one. Let's go ahead and ls, what's it? It's numbers, just numbers. There's no text after that. Let's take that out. So here we go. This is a text file that I'm going to be utilizing for the next examples. Here's what I can do. Look at this. This is very, very important. If I do GAWK, remember here, you're going to put curly brace close, and I'm going to go and apply this to numbers.txt this time. Look what I can do. I can come here and say num equal 10. And then I can come here and say $1 equal num multiplied by $1. And then after that, put a comma, and then after that, print $0. So it simply means print all the lines. So I'm going to create a variable for each line called num, which is equal 10. I'm going to take the value 10 multiplied by the first number you have. So multiply by this, 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 and this, and then assign the value back to the first word here, and then print the line. So my question is, how is that going to affect those 2 lines, those 3 lines that we have here? So this is supposed to take Ahmed, for example, multiplied by 10 and assign it to Ahmed. So let's see how is that going to affect the results. Look what just happened here. I got 0, and I got 0, and I got 0. Where are these zeros come from? Again, if the text that you're reading is not a numerical value, then simply is going to be treated as 0. Okay, so that's again something you have to pay attention to when you deal with a case like this. And of course, this has not necessary to be integer values. I can come here and put 9 if I want to, and I'll still going to get an acceptable results. So we can process numbers normally again. Remember here, we're not using the $at all. So that's a very, very simple case. I can come here and let's go ahead and have another example. And if I type, I hope you guys hear that word. That sound that you're hearing is my niece's car. It's very, very annoying. So let's go ahead here and put, I'll say results. And I'll say results equal 1 multiplied by $2. And I can say just print results. You see here, he's simply taking the first number multiplied by the second number shown on the screen, but now he's taking this number multiplied by this number. Because this one is 0, so you get 0. This one is 0, 0, 0, 0, and so on. So that's how it works. So you can see it's not a big deal. I think the last part that is left for us is to utilize and think about, what if I don't have a space as a field separator? So for example, cat num temp, this is the numbers you see here. I have the colon here as a field separator. Now, what file format usually use a colon as a field separator? I'll tell you that the CSV files, CSV files, sorry, use a colon as a command. And this is type of files that we use a lot for processing data. So if I want to actually, let me just go back and repeat what I did here. If I want to actually use, first of all, I'm going to change the file itself to be num temp. And if I want to print this, it's not going to work. Well, actually, it's not going to work because, again, this whole thing is going to be treated as a single word, and I'm going to get zeros. Okay, so if I want to use the text, the colon as a text, a field separator, all I have to do here is to put hyphen uppercase F and put a colon, and that way the colon is going to be used as a field separator. And you can see here now I get actually the numbers printed on the screen with no problem. The only reason I'm getting 0 here because, again, it's Adam plus Smith, and this is going to be treated as zeros. So that's how the GWK, AWK simply works. We can actually get those commands on a text file and use it as an input. And I'm just going to go and show you an example of how is that possible. Clear. And if I come here and I'll just say, let me see if I have a file here that I created. Second time. Where is it? I'm pretty sure I created a file with an extension of AWK, but I can't see it here. Okay, no problem. I can create a new one if I want to. And I'm going to say touch. And I'll say command.awk or J. Now, again, remember here, this is something we talked about in Linux. Linux doesn't recognize extensions. Extensions are actually used for us, so we would know what to do with them. So this is my file. If I go nano, it's an empty file. Look what I'm going to do. Very, very important to understand. I'm going to start by typing begin. Open a brace and close it. This simply means whatever you're going to type here is going to be processed before the awk command is going to process the text file. So here, this is going to be printed before you do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and type, for example, print, and I'll just say, will come to the GAWK processing. Okay, and then after that, we'll follow that with a print with no command, so it's going to go to the next line with no issue. So I'm done here. Also, I can put and you know what, here, I can do something else here. I'll just say print, and I'll say num1, colon, and let's put a space, and I'll put num2, and then I'll put a colon, and then I'll say num1 plus num2. Now again, this is just going to be printed on the screen when I open it, and then print to go to the new line. So this is, again, the first thing. Again, I'm going to use this as an input for my awk command. And this begin simply means before you do anything, print those on the screen. And in the other hand, simply means print those after you're done. So we go print at the beginning, we put nothing here. So you go to the next line for whatever's going to be printed on the screen. And then you just print again a message. And I would just say here, what do I want to do here? I want to say number of lines, and I'll put lines. Now, what is lines? We're going to talk about that in a sec. So this is going to be printed at the end after the file is simply processed. So this is the part where we are actually going to specify what's supposed to be processed. And in this area here, I am just going to go ahead and say res equal, oh, you know what? Yes, res equal $1 plus $2. So that's going to be printed. It's going to be calculated. And then after that, I'll say print. I'll say res space, or before res, we'll put $1, $2, put a space between them, and then put a space between them again, and show me res. And I'm going to put a double quotations here. Hopefully this is not going to lead to any problems. And then after that, I will say lines equal lines plus 1. Simply means that's an accumulation process where every time you read one line is going to be increased by 1, and it's going to be initialized with 0. So by the time you're done, it's going to tell you how many lines you have in that file, and it's going to be printed here. The number of lines, let's just put a comma. No, not here. Let me go backward here and put it here. So this is I'm gonna use this for the num temp file that I have. Oh, I forgot that since I'm using the num temp file that use what they call it. It's using the my bad, the field separator as a colon, then it's very, very important for me to specify that at the beginning. So I'm going to come here and say fs or fs, yeah, field separator equal, and you put double quotation and you put colon to indicate that you're using colon for field separator. So let's look at this file again. This is going to be printed and processed at the beginning. This is going to be printed and processed at the end. This is going to be printed when the awk command is issued. We're going to calculate the results as for each line as a summation of the first number plus the second number. And then after that, we're going to print for each line the first number, the second number, and the results. And then we're going to increase the number of lines by 1 every time we process the command. So this will be the end of this file. Let's save it. And let's go ahead and do that. So GAWK -F, as we're going to be processing this from a file, commands.gawk test field, and let's see if that's going to work. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. Give it a try. Oh, look at this. He's not actually doing what I thought. Oh, I'm using the wrong file. Of course, that's the case. Let's go ahead and change the file. My bad. It was supposed to be num temp file. Okay, so actually he printed this. Okay, and then line number 5 was actually correct because we have 5 lines, but this one didn't work for some reason. Let's see why. This is where I have to go back to the file itself and see why is it doing this. I know I was not supposed to use the double quotations. Let's take that out. And let's Control X, save it. Now clear. Let's see if this is going to work now. And it worked. Look at that. I know the format is not the best, but you can see here num1, num2, and this is the summation of it. Num1, num2, summation of it. Num1, num2. I know they're strings. The summation is 0. Num1, num2, summation num1, num2, and the number of lines is 5. Of course, there's a way you can control and format it the way you want it, but this is just to show you that I was able to have access to the file. Remember, this is very, very important. The whole point of this example is to show you that you can put your commands inside a file, and look what's going to happen. This is processed at the beginning. This is processed at the end. And this is the processing of the file itself. I'm going to try to make it looks better. Just give me a sec. If I go back to the nano, I'm going to give this one a little bit of space. No, not you. First of all, I don't like this print here, so I'm going to take it out. And I don't like this print here, and I'm going to take it out. Let's see how is that going to affect. Here, I'm going to give this one a little bit of space, put more spaces here. And let's save it and see how is that going to change the results. A little bit better. I think I just have to push it a little bit more. Yep, more spaces. So let's go ahead and do that.
Same process for save.
Yeah, question.
Yeah, how's the save? Just the same process, Control X or Control Y?
This is nano, so Control X will exit, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to save your work? You press Y.
Save, just Control Y or just Y?
Control X exit,
Uh-huh.
and then it's going to ask you, do you want to save your work? You press Y.
Save your work, okay.
Yeah, so you start with Control X, and then you press Y. This is the best I can get out of this. We have a way we can format the outputs, of course, but let's just keep it as simple as possible. So let me clear things up, and let me say here, this is the end of this chapter. I know it's a little bit long because I've been talking for like 1 hour and 45 minutes. Let me stop sharing my screen, and let me stop recording, so this is not going to go very